Hello and welcome to Camp Xbox. When we move from console to console, we hope for backwards compatibility, and if you have a 360 and want some great games that are only backwards compatible there, not on Series or One consoles, today's list is for you. But I'd also say this is a list of great games as well, so if you just want some recommendations, I've got some here for you, even if you only have an OG Xbox. I tried to mix this list with some classics, but I also have some hidden gems that I haven't talked about much on the channel, so I'd say don't expect the usual picks you might see on YouTube. Let me know though what I should put on the next iteration of this list. There is a ton of games. All footage was captured off of an Xbox 360, and I'd like to thank my YouTube channel members for their support, but let's go ahead and hop into this one. First up is Ultimate Spider-Man. If you follow my ever-growing original Xbox ranking list, this one ranks extremely high for a good reason. This game is fantastic. However, before getting into this game, many of these games have issues on the 360. Backwards compatibility was fickle, and some games had a lot of problems. So I'll be sure to name any problems that I had or that I find on the Xbox 360 backwards compatibility Wikipedia page, which is a great resource. Fortunately though, Ultimate Spider-Man came out safe and is an exceptional game on the 360. First off, this game looks gorgeous on the 360. The main thing I love about this entry is how the game world comes to life. It's based on the then ongoing Ultimate Spider-Man series when this came out in September 2005. This was a great series by comic legend Brian Michael Bendis, who helped make this game along with the developers Treyarch. This game's visual style comes to life with cutscenes that mimic panels using interesting angles, shadows, and framing. Mixed with the bright and colorful cel-shaded style, there is nothing truly like this for the time, and it's an incredible looking world to get into. If you're a fan of the game version of Spider-Man 2 in terms of gameplay, you'll feel at home here. Swinging is fluid and going around the city, zipping all over, it all has a great feel to it. All of the controls feel excellent with a nice sense of flow. Spider-Man should be able to bounce between enemies easily in combat, and here he does. It allows you to mix up hits and pin enemies to the ground with your webs. The combat has that 6th generation simplicity, and moving around from fight to fight is awesome. There's a nice sense of variety here too, with levels tied to Venom and many side missions throughout New York. You have crimes that you can take care of, along with races around the city. I love the number of Marvel heroes that pop up, like Johnny Storm and Wolverine. It's full to the brim with great moments like this, and some excellent voice work, and the amazing music help it. Ultimate Spider-Man is a great comic book game, and just a great action game. Give this one a shot, and if you play it on the 360, you will not run into many issues like you might with other games. This is one I recommend checking out. Now let's talk about Forgotten Realms' Demon's Stone. This game from 2004 was published by Atari and developed by Stormfront Studios. This team made the Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers game, which is a great hack-and-slash movie game that I know many of you enjoy. Demon's Stone is very close to that game, so if you enjoyed that one, this one is well worth checking out. This is a Dungeons and Dragons game where you control 3 characters, a fighter, a sorcerer, and a rogue, all of which have different playstyles and will handle combat differently. In this game, they accidentally release ancient warlords trapped in a demon stone, and they must fight to get them back in there. As far as plots go for a fantasy story like this one fits nicely into what you'd expect from D&D, with fun fantasy characters and a varied world you travel through. It's always varied, all the battlefields feel huge, and there's a nice mix of locations. The combat itself is simple, with a mix of attacks from everyone, where the fighter is going to go for a melee attack, the rogue has the ability to sneak attack, and with the sorcerer you're going to want to stay back and use spells. It's not the most in-depth system, but it's simplistic fun, which I always find games like that easy to go back to. Throw in that it contains RPG elements such as getting new moves and raising your stats, and you end up with a bit of fun creativity here. Demon's Stone strives for a cinematic feel with great draw distances and fidelity. The game world pops here, and you can tell special attention was given to the visuals and the sound to make this feel like something akin to a cinematic game such as Lord of the Rings. Unfortunately, Unfortunately though, Demon's Stone does have issues with the 360. The one that I experienced is that there's a weird graphical line on the HUD. That's just a graphical glitch and it really doesn't break the game in any way. Also on the 360 Wikipedia, there are copious details on what's wrong with this, and what's listed for this one is in Chapter 4 there's a texture dropout in the cutscene, and then in Chapters 4 and 5 the unlockable concept art videos don't play. These don't seem like huge deals, but are worth looking out for. Otherwise, I experienced no issues other than the HUD, so I'd say this is worth trying on the 360, and if you want a full review, I actually have one on my channel. Next is Jet Set Radio Future, which came out in 2002. It was published by Sega and was developed by Smilebit. This is the Xbox exclusive sequel to the Dreamcast classic, and this game is one of the best on the console. I know many of you out there love this one and hope that it will one day be backwards compatible on modern consoles, but for now, it's just backwards compatible here, but you can play it on the original Xbox, which I feel like is the best way to do it. This game has some issues on the 360. In my time playing, the frame rate was fine, but the text in the maps flickered. I have read plenty of accounts though that say the frame rate has issues. The wiki also says particle effects cause frame drops and frame rate issues in other areas, but especially in 99th Street, so maybe it varies around from location to location, yet the slowdown is supposed to be unbearable, so if you play this on the 360, go in with that warning. It was fine when I played it, and the flickering on the map screen wasn't too bad. If the only way you have to play this game is on the 360 and you haven't before, keep this in mind. And if you do play it, you are in for a fantastic game. Jet Set Radio Future is one of the most visually stunning games of its generation. Going for a cel-shaded look, the colors in this game are gorgeous. The world design for this game is bright and full of so much detail. Each area you get to skate in is something fresh, and all of the character models skating in them feel fluid. It's one of the best looking games you can play for its time. Not only that, but the gameplay is exceptionally smooth. It's not like other extreme sports games where you might have a string of moves or combos to hit, yet it's more about managing a flow. You skate and hit buttons almost in a rhythm-like action when grinding or jumping out of ramps. Doing so helps you gain speed and allows you to reach insane places. It's easy to manage, but the rhythm can initially be complex. Once you get used to the controls and you play in some of these amazingly designed levels, everything clicks together. The level design in this game is excellent, and it's pure fun gameplay and gives this one longevity. Not only all of this, but it has one of the best gaming soundtracks of all time. Filled with rap, punk, and a wide array of sampled electronic tracks, it feels like a game that was bred to be a cult hit. The music gives it that punk and fun edge that feels exactly like the early 2000s, but still manages to remain endearing. Much like the game itself, which does have issues on the 360, but I'd say overall, this game is fantastic. Let's change things up a bit with Dreamfall: The Longest Journey, which is a sequel to the 1999 game The Longest Journey. It was developed by Funcom and published by Aspyr. It's a late Xbox release coming out in early 2006, which means there were probably a good number of people who played this for the first time on their Xbox 360. I did not see any compatibility errors in my playthrough, and there's none listed, so this one seems to work well here on this console. I'm glad it does too, because it looks fantastic on the 360 with a great use of color and a strong fidelity. The world captured here in Dreamfall is one of a future and a fantasy world, and it sees you moving between both planes. Both are visually distinct, and though I reviewed this game years ago on the channel, it's the world, characters, and plot that make this game as memorable as it is. In this game, you swap between characters and their multiple stories within the game world. You mainly follow Zoe Castillo, who's looking for her missing ex. It's a mystery here, but in the opposite storyline, you fight against an evil empire and an assassin. All of these plots interweave with each other and thematically fit together, making for a plot that feels epic in scale for the time, and it has a strong narrative. The dialogue choices are abundant, and through the great voice acting, you can easily dive deep into this world. If you like a great story and great characters from your games, then Dreamfall will provide that. Though this is an adventure game, it does not deliver a ton in terms of action. There is a bit of fighting, but your focus is mainly on talking, exploring, and solving light puzzles. I've always enjoyed adventure games, and this one does it well. It's tailored for controller players, and moving around the world and solving puzzles is never cumbersome. It makes that adventure game transition well, and makes for one of the best games in the genre on the original Xbox, which the Xbox has quite a few. If you're in the puzzle solving and that style of game, this one does it well. It is never too confusing like some point-and-click games. The plot is key here, and it feels like they were striving for something cinematic, especially with the attention paid to the sound and music. It makes for something that was unique for the time, and is an excellent choice to play on the 360 as well as the original Xbox. Before we move on, I want to say I appreciate you for watching this far. Videos like this take a lot of time and effort, and I hope you're enjoying it. If you're enjoying it so far, be sure to leave a like as it really helps me out in the algorithm, and hit that subscribe button and bell to keep updated with content like this. But let's go ahead and move on.
I wish it was that easy. Don't you think I miss having direction and ambitions? Now I just don't know what I want. Can you please understand that?
Next up is Pariah, which was released in 2005. It was developed by Digital Extremes and published by Groove Games. Pariah is a game I love to talk about on the channel because I find it to be a severely underrated Xbox first-person shooter. It's a lot cheaper than it, but I think if you like shooters like Half-Life 2, you'll have a good time with this one. Unfortunately though, the 360 version has a big issue. This is from My Time and Wikipedia. The way they put it is that there is a minor but reoccurring drop in performance. This game drops frames constantly, and there's a lot of slowdown, and it's unpredictable. Sometimes it's near loading screens, but other times it'll just dip randomly. It's minor and quick because it happens for a second, and then you can go for a while without one, but it'll happen, and it's a bit annoying. I'm keeping it on here because I think you should play it if you haven't, but playing it on the original Xbox is definitely the priority. There's also issues with a green line on the intro video of this game and loading bars not displaying, but those are pretty marginal. In this game, you crash land on a planet with a girl who's infected by a virus. You are infected too, and you must work together using powers gained from the virus to make it out alive. The plot is a bit conventional overall, especially in a time where sci-fi shooters were the rage, but it works here with the gameplay to make for a fun playing shooter. You get a fun mix of weapons in Pariah, like shotguns and assault rifles, but this game has upgrade pickups that allow you to upgrade your weapons on the fly to make them deal higher damage or other minor effects. You take on waves of enemies in this world filled with variety. Though it's gray and dark, and I'd say at first it seems like it doesn't have much interesting going on. But once you dive into the halls of machinery and these giant concrete blocks of buildings, you settle into the despair of this world. It's a bit oppressive and fits into the dark theming of the game. Match that with you just killing people left and right with some great graphics for the time. It's honestly a great looking game, and unfortunately, some of the frame rate is marred here on the 360. The gunplay all around feels good, and I like a nice simple shooter, and this one always scratches that itch. I also always love a great map editor in a game, and Pariah's is fantastic. This allows you to create buildings and switch up terrain. Back in the day, I spent a ton of time just making maps for vehicles, and I had fun doing it. It's great to spend some time with, and I had no frame rate issues in the map maker. Pariah to me is a hidden gem on the Xbox, and if you like shooters, it's worth trying. Only play on the 360 if you have no other way to try this one out. Next up is Brute Force. This was released in 2003 by Digital Anvil and published by Microsoft Game Studios. For a long time leading up to 2003, this game was deemed the Halo killer, the Xbox game that was going to change everything. When it came out, the reception was mixed and the hype died down. Even I was part of the hype, and I was disappointed. And that is a long lesson in not getting overly hyped up for games. Nowadays though, returning to it, I enjoy this one for what it is, and I think it's a fun game to seek out and enjoy. It does work on the Xbox 360, and I saw no issues with it, and it has no issues listed, so this one looks clean in terms of issues. This is a squad-based third-person shooter, and it is all about using your team to your advantage to solve each level. You pinpoint where each of your team members go, and you can have them cover you from a spot or stick with you. This is all done on the fly, and you can swap to any of them, which was extremely impressive for the time. Each squad member has their own abilities and advantages, such as being tanky and using multiple guns, or being proficient at sniping. The idea is to combine all of their powers to get through the levels in the game, and it's challenging, but ultimately a good time. It controls well, and squad controls are well done. Some of these levels can be brutally difficult, so be on the lookout for that when going through some levels, yet it's a solid enough challenge where it feels rewarding when you go through it. The gameplay is solid here, but there is something about the look of this game that I feel charmed by. It's hard to explain, but this is a purely original Xbox looking game. The landscapes and character models are realistic yet cartoony, still with an awesome quality for the generation. I love how you are funneled through levels by distinct landscapes, and especially in the greens of the grass and the trees, the world pops. I don't think it's the best looking game of the era, but I do love the distinct look of this game, and I think it comes together to make for a unique experience that's only on the Xbox. There's also a fun sci-fi story here, and I'm a sucker for that, especially when it tries to pack in a lot of lore. And this game has a novel tied to it, which let me know in the comments if you've read that. There's some fun voice work too, and all around it's a good time of a game. Years away from it, it's easy to look back on this without the stigma of unrealized hype and look at it for what it is. It's not game changing, but it's a fun squad shooter that's definitely worth checking out. Let's throw in a racing game here, and one that I have never talked about before, Flatout. This came out in 2004 and was published by Empire Interactive and developed by Bugbear Entertainment. This is a demolition derby themed racing game that really made a splash back in 2004. I remember there being a bunch of commercials for this game shown everywhere, showing off the destruction and the ability to launch drivers out of cars. I remember thinking that it looked so cool, and when I got my hands on it, I really enjoyed it. Luckily, it is backwards compatible on the 360, and I had no issues and none were listed. Flatout, at first glance, can be seen as a simple racing title. Most of your main career mode is just you racing around dirt tracks or in a demolition derby hitting other cars. As far as controls and how your car handles, it's all well done. Handling feels just right, and driving around feels exactly like what you'd expect. It's the physics and destruction that make this game stand out though. Hitting other cars causes some great damage effects for the time. You can see the different sections of the car crunch up and slowly be destroyed as you take more damage, and so do the other cars. Getting to the end of races can be a nightmare, and you can come out looking ragged, but that's part of the fun. Destruction derby games were around for a bit before this, but this one feels like a great entry in that subgenre. The physics of driving works to make the slamming satisfying, as well as the great ragdoll physics. A huge selling point of this game was the ragdoll physics. If you hit a car fast, you have a chance to fly out of your car. This is fun on its own, but they added mini games to capitalize on this. They have a high jump where you see how far up you can throw them. They also have a long jump so you can see how far across a certain distance you can throw them. It's all about getting the right speed and angle to get that perfect throw. And I find this to be one of the best bits of this game. It's extremely creative and addictive to attempt this over and over again. It's so much fun to mess around with. Other than that, you have a simple career mode with a fun upgrade system for your cars. It's a fairly basic game. A racing game does not have to achieve something incredible or game-changing, but it just needs to be entertaining, and I believe Flatout captures that and is well worth playing through today. The final game on today's list is Amped, an Xbox exclusive snowboarding game that absolutely rocks. This one came out around launch in 2001 and was made by IndieBuilt and published by Microsoft Game Studios. I wanted to make sure a sports game got onto this list, and Amped is one of the best for the Xbox. Unfortunately though, Amped has a major issue when playing it on the 360. At the start of most mountains, I was experiencing severe frame rate drops. I would wait about 10 seconds and it would clear up. And you should wait it out because it gets so patchy that it ruins any trick you try to pull off right at the beginning. This is a devastating blow to an incredible game here. Yet outside of that, you do have some excellent gameplay once you get going. Amped has you making your own border, and you move up the ranks of fame in the snowboarding world. You start at one mountain, and then more and more open up as your fame grows. Your goal is to pull off tricks to get high scores, as well as pulling off tricks in front of the media so you can get more popular. You also unlock specific challenges along the way to impress sponsors or follow behind pros. All of these modes are quick and easy to get into, and going down mountains is breezy, which makes for a setup that allows you to pick up and play, and it stays addicting. The controls are excellent here, allowing you to speedily flow down mountains and hold a button to do a mix of grabs along with spins. You can also grind rails, and these flow into each other well. It's a bit like Tony Hawk, but it does feel heavier, which makes complete sense here. Moving through the snow feels just right, and the look of this game is excellent for 2001. A lot of games with snow at this time didn't feel like they had traction, but here, the animation and the tracks you make in the snow are great and looked awesome for the time. It also has a solid soundtrack for the time with some great pulls, and Amped fits easily into the early 2000s extreme sports craze, which was all the rage at the time. Amped 1 and 2 are both games that I return to often. They feel great, and all of the lines in most of these mountains are fun to go down perfectly. This is one you should definitely check out if you haven't. I just want to give a major warning on the frame rate on the 360 version though, and I'd say play it on the original Xbox if you can. I hate that this one has never made it to the Series X, but I'm guessing all of the sports sponsors and music probably stops that from happening. But maybe one day we can get that on modern consoles.
That was sweet!
But that does wrap it up for today. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, it helps me out in the algorithm. Subscribe to keep up with more retro Xbox content, and be sure to check out my second channel, Camp Extras, for more retro content. And I want to give a huge shout out to my YouTube channel members. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you here next time at Camp Xbox.